Hi and welcome to the Cake Tip. Today we're going to be making creamy berry crumble cheesecake that's keto, gluten-free, sugar-free and low carb. To begin with, you're going to need a 7-inch round tin and you're going to need to grease and line this with greaseproof paper. You're going to need to shred the sides of the greaseproof paper to allow it to support it. It also needs to be a loose bottom tin to make it easier to remove the cheesecake. So these are the ingredients you're going to need to create the base of your cheesecake. To begin with, you're going to need some LSA, which is linseed and almond meal. You're also going to need some desiccated coconut, and you need this to be unsweetened desiccated coconut. You're also going to need some butter at room temperature. It does need to be quite soft to make it easy to stir in. Also, you're going to need some room temperature almond butter as well. Make sure it's nice and soft. Pop it in the microwave if you have to, just to make it easy to blend together. Grab yourself a large bowl which you're going to mix the base ingredients in. You'll also need a spatula rather than a wooden spoon so it doesn't stick. So first of all, you want to place your LSA into the bowl. Then add your desiccated coconut, and you're going to mix these two together on their own first of all before you start to add any of the other ingredients. This is just so that you don't get any clumps of one or the other within your base. When you're happy that your coconut and your LSA have come together and they're completely mixed, it's time to add the rest of the ingredients for the base. So to begin with, you're going to add the nut butter. Make sure you get all of it out and make sure it's nice and soft so it's so much easier. Then you're going to add your butter. My butter has melted quite a bit because I live in Australia and it's very warm at the moment. But if yours hasn't melted to this degree, just pop it into the microwave. Just makes it a little bit easier to mix the base together. So pop that in. Make sure you've got all of the butter. And once you have everything within the bowl, then you can start to combine it. Just in case you're wondering what the ingredients are and what the weights are, I will put a list in the description underneath the video so it's nice and easy to write down for when you're going to shopping to buy the ingredients. Once your base mix has come together, this is what it should look like. Very sticky but crumbly still at the same time. Makes it nice and easy to pop into the tin. So grab your greased and lined 7-inch tin and just pour your mix into the centre. Grab yourself a dessert spoon and you're just going to use the back of the dessert spoon to push the mix all the way to the edges before we start to push it down into the tin. Using the back of the spoon, just press hard down at the edges first of all and then work your way into the centre until it is nice and firm all over. So this is what we're looking for, nice and smooth and even throughout. We're going to pop this into the freezer now whilst we prepare the topping. So for the first stage of the topping, you're going to need some blueberries, and these need to be fresh, not frozen. You're also going to need some raspberries, and fresh, not frozen, and some strawberries. I will put the weights and measurements in the description, so don't worry about that. So you're going to need to put all three of these into a small bowl where we will crush them together. We're going to use the back of a fork to crush them together. So place them all in the bowl to begin with. and then grab your fork, and you're just going to use the back of the fork and push it into them. They will seem a little bit hard, especially the strawberries, unless you've managed to get slightly softer ones. Also, you want to add a 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice if you can do. This just helps enhance the freshness of the fruits. So just push down. You'll find that your raspberries and your blueberries squash really easily, and your strawberries will be ones that are left with larger bits, which is absolutely fine in the type of cheesecake we're making. So once you've crushed them all together, this is exactly what you want them to look like. So you can see there's not too much fluid in it to destroy the cheesecake, but enough to be able to distribute it nicely throughout. So to make the top of your cheesecake, you're going to need some soft cheese that's been out a while, so that it's going to be really easy to combine and stir. If you're doing this by hand, you want it to be very soft. You're also going to need some very cold coconut cream that's been in the fridge overnight, preferably, or a couple of days to firm up. You're also going to need some stevia, and that's what's going to sweeten your cheesecake, and some strawberry extract. So first of all, we're going to pop this into a food processor or into a standalone mixer, whichever you have, that's perfectly fine. We're just going to lower the mixer down, and we're going to start off slow and then build up to a medium speed. We need to make sure this is lovely and soft so that it can take the rest of the ingredients, but not over whip it so that the cream cheese starts to split. The next thing that you want to add to your cheesecake mix is going to be your stevia. So just pop that straight into the bowl. You're also going to need to add your strawberry extract at this stage as well. Once you've got both of them in there, just pop your mixer back down again, and you're going to put it onto a medium speed again until it's fully combined and starting to become nice and silky. Once they're both fully combined, this is what it should look like. As you can see, it's becoming nice and creamy. So the next stage, we're going to put in the cold coconut cream. Just pop that into the side before we start to whip that together. Make sure all of it comes out of the bowl. Pop your mixer back down, and you're going to mix it for a little bit longer this time, but not on too much of a high speed, just until it becomes nice and creamy. This is the perfect texture for a cheesecake. So as you can see, it's nice and silky and just dropping off the spoon. Now you're going to take a 1/2 cup of the mix out of this and reserve it for later. That's to help with the crumble topping. It's just to help create an easier place to stick the topping to the cheesecake itself. Okay, just pop that to one side. Now we're going to add our crushed berries to the mix. Now, we're not going to combine this too much because we want to create a cheesecake that still has pieces of berries in there. So if we overbeat it, it will just become one flavour all over, and you won't even realise what berries are in there. So just pop that all in. Once it's all in, drop your mixer down and literally just do it for about 30 seconds, no more than 30 seconds, on quite a low speed as well. That's perfectly mixed. Now take a hold of your tin from the freezer, and your base will be lovely and firm now, ready to place the topping on it. So grab your bowl and just scoop all of your cheesecake mix out over on top of the base. Whilst we're scooping the mix out, please remember to subscribe to my channel and like and click the notification button for all future videos. Once all of your mix is in the tin, grab yourself a spoon and, using the back of the spoon once again, push your mix all the way down and nice and evenly into the tin. Make sure you do put a bit of pressure on because you don't want to create any air bubbles within the mix. Once it's exactly level for you and looking very silky, you can then pop it into the freezer whilst we create the very topping of the cheesecake. So for the crumble topping, these are the ingredients you're going to use. You're actually going to do this with your hands as well. So to begin with, you're going to need some coconut flour. You're also going to need some pumpkin seeds. You'll need some almonds, and these all need to be whole as well to begin with. some butter, which needs to have been in the fridge and just taken out and cut into pieces. We need cold butter. Some vanilla and some mixed spice. So to begin with, we're going to place our pumpkin seeds and almonds into a bag so that we can crush them. We don't want to make them really small. We need to make it so that it's just like a crumble on top of a normal crumble pudding. So some larger bits, some smaller bits. Within the bag, make sure there's a small opening at the end so that the air doesn't get trapped. Using a rolling pin, just roll over the top of your nuts and your seeds until they start to crush. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can do this with the back of a spoon. It just takes a little bit longer. So once you finish doing that, this is how they should look. So still some fairly big bits in there, but a little bit of a floury mix to it as well. So grab a hold of your coconut flour, and we're going to add the seed and nut mix to this first of all. I do try to reuse my plastic bags over and over again as well, just for the environment. Once that's all come together, the next thing we're going to add to the mix is the butter. So we're going to just pop the butter in, making sure that it's still hard. If you do live somewhere hot like myself, you might need to keep this in the fridge to begin with. Then you're going to add your vanilla extract to it. You can use vanilla extract or vanilla bean, it's entirely up to you. Once that's into the mix, you're going to add your mixed spice to the mix. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of that as well. We want to make the top nice and spicy to add to the fruit flavouring. Now we're going to use our fingers, and just exactly the same as you would making a normal crumble, we're going to crumble it together with the butter. You'll know when it's ready because it'll have come together, and there'll be bits sticking together and bits that aren't, larger bits, smaller bits. Anything like this is lovely for the crumble. So grab your cheesecake from the freezer or fridge, and we're now going to top it with the remaining cheesecake that we took out earlier, the half cup. So we're going to pop that into the middle, and then we're just going to use a palette knife to spread it all over as a thin layer across the top. Now, if you remember, this doesn't actually have any berries in it, so it creates a good break between the two. So using a palette knife, just spread it thinly across the top. When you're doing this, just be very gentle with it, making sure that you don't start to pull the berry cheesecake that's underneath into it. It is a little bit time consuming, but worth it. Okay, that's now ready for us to place our crumble on the top. So we're going to spread it out using a spoon around the edges. And then once all of it's on there, we're then going to use the back of the same spoon just to push it down into the cheesecake layer and make it nice and firm. Okay, now we're ready to do that. Let's just use the back of the spoon, and you're just going to push it down, not too hard. You just want to make it go into that last layer of cheesecake and ready to firm up. Once you've done this, you pop it into the fridge overnight to set, and then remove it in the morning or whenever you're ready to serve it with friends. This is an absolutely delicious keto cheesecake, and I do have other recipes for keto cheesecakes within my channel. Please remember that I do create videos for gluten-free, sugar-free, dairy-free, vegan, keto, paleo, and much, much more.